Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. This is another review, this time for Chaz. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is a review for 2 episodes of Blade, the animated series. Now, I vaguely heard about this show. I might have seen bits of it once a long time ago, but it was a limited series, and the voice of Blade was actually the guy who played Link in Matrix 2 and Matrix 3, Reloaded and Revolutions. He was the guy piloting the ship where Neo and Morpheus and them were on. Again, he was not in the first one, but he was in Matrix 2 and 3. Harold, I can never say his last name, Harold Perrineau, the guy who played Link, and he did a pretty decent job voicing Blade. And they made Blade look a little bit different. He didn't look like Wesley Snipes. He had more of a bald head, and they're a bit look like tattoos and such, which I didn't mind. And the first 2 episodes were not too shabby. They definitely have an anime feel to them. It's not related to the movies. It's sort of another... At least I don't think it is, because they have another Deacon Frost. I'm like, well, the Deacon Frost died in the movie, so this is a different Deacon Frost. And there's no Whistler. So this time he's once again fighting vampires like he should, and it has a very nice visual aesthetic to it. I mean, the first episode where it shows bits of how his mom was bitten, and when his mom gets bitten, you see this nice take of the vampire venom, whatever, the bite, going to the bloodstream and slowly roll through the bloodstream and into the baby, because the mom was pregnant with the baby, and then the baby was born. That became Blade. And I find it funny. A week or 2 ago, I reviewed the first 1 or 2 episodes of Black Panther, the limited series. I talked about, man, Black Panther doesn't really do a whole lot in his own show, at least the modern Black Panther, T'Challa. But in 1 episode, he does in episode 2, but in 1 episode, he kicks more ass, Blade does, than Black Panther did in 2 full episodes. But in 1 episode, he's stabbing and killing vampires, and he had like this little guitar riff going, and when he kills the vampires, they go on an explosion of fire. That was very cool. And he's like, have these handmade stakes that killing them one by one. Later on, there's this club. Blade goes in. He's got a sword. He's killing vampires left and right. There's even a bit where he does this deadly sword technique, where he makes like a double of himself. So the vampire thinks he cut Blade's head off as an illusion. And then Blade does this very anime, that slice. They get the idea. Cut in half, and again, it's like a deadly sword technique #1. I think it's a werewolf actually, which is cool. So it's showing what Blade can do, and in the meantime, you also have this female vampire hunter who's with her dad. And she has stuff like these knuckles that have silver on them, kind of knuckle claws. And she's taking care of vampires in this club. And again, it has a nice anime feel to it. The voices, especially the lead. It's too bad they didn't get Wesley Snipes. I think that would have been cool to voice him. Or like Tony Todd. That'd be pretty cool. Tony Todd is the voice of Blade. I think he would have worked great. But again, this guy does fine. Yeah, I'm just saying. I would say Chief David, but people think, well, that's Spawn. Yeah. But Chief David would work. But yeah, Tony Todd. It would have been nice if Wesley Snipes got. I don't even know if he was asked, or was he in jail at this time? I wonder if he might have been in prison at this time. I can't remember. He might have been. I'm trying to remember when this came out, the year. But just some people might not know, Wesley Snipes was in prison for a bit for tax evasion, which is sad and pathetic because he was in jail longer than people who were the P to the E to the D to the O's, like Victor Salva, who directed Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. That's why when I talked about those films and they go, well, he did his time. I'm like, no, he didn't. Victor Salva was in jail in like 90 days or something. Or maybe, I don't know, 4 months or something. Nothing. Even if it was like 9 months, that's nothing. Wesley Snipes got in jail for years. Because I guess taxes are way worse than diddling kids. But, you know, that's the justice system in Hollywood for you. Wesley Snipes got fucked over badly, in my opinion. But, again, that's another tangent, another video, another day. But yeah, you have a Deacon Frost, although this one's a much older looking Deacon Frost, while in the movie, the first one, it was Stephen Dorff, who was much more of a younger individual. Here, it was supposed to be a different design. And then spoilers. Well, before I do that, like episode 2, I would say I liked episode 1 more. Episode 2 was decent. The gist of that plot is you have these 2 police officers looking for missing women, and one of them meets up with Blade, and Blade pretty much tells this cop what's going on and introduces him to this world where this cop is a bit in over his head, which leads to this blood farm where Blade and this cop, and as well as that female vampire hunter, have to deal with and take care of and stop. But it went at a good pace. Like I said, the animation, if you like anime type of style in your animation, there's some good aesthetics to it. The music is there. I don't know how it could be compared to the movie. I kind of wish they used some of the music from the movie into the show. I know it wants to be its own thing. I understand that, but it's like there's a part of me that wishes some of these scenes were like from the first Blade, or even some of the songs. But yeah, that's just me. But yeah, the first episode, you get to see Blade kick some ass. And spoilers, the older Deacon Frost bites the female vamp hunter's dad, and then he's been turned to a vampire, and Blade has to kill him. But then the femme vampire hunter's like, you're gonna pay, Blade. I'm like, bitch, your dad was turned to a vampire and was ready to bite you on the tit. And then you're like, you're gonna pay. What the fuck do you think was going to happen? Play Scrabble? Play Pictionary? Fuck out of here, lady. So she just acted like a fucking moron. I get that your dad passed away, but he was a vampire. The check is in the mail. The deal is done. It's too late. Episode 2, again, there's like police officers. It was interesting to see a cop be introduced to all this with the help of Blade. And the cop, I'm trying to think what his voice sounded like. He didn't sound like him, but I could picture if you put this plot into a movie, it would have been cool if it was like James Woods or James Spader. Not that the voice sounded like this cop, but I just think of like the cop in the movie Cop with James Spader. James Woods. James Spader. James Spader was a cop in another movie. Hell, this is a bad movie, but James Spader in The Watcher, you put that cop in this movie. To James Spader, I didn't mind him in The Watcher. The problem was many things, including Keanu Reeves, I didn't buy as a killer. But again, that's another movie, different day. But it was. I liked that cop character. He has some nice moments, especially one at the end, which I'll get to. I think it was interesting to see Blade interact with this cop and bring him up to speed, and this plan where Blade's like, "Take me in." What? And you find out there's dirty cops that have a bit of the mark that are working with the vampires by protection with these illegal women and missing women. And I like that the cop, he's a decent guy with a family. He wants to do the right thing, and he's not being an idiot about it. He believes Blade and tries to beat the shit out of his superiors. I like the bit where at one point Blade even offers, "Listen, you should go home to your family." Which I like that bit because it shows that Blade does care about this other person. That's part of why he does grab a bit of his revenge for what happened to his mom and turning him into this thing, but also it is to help people, so he gives this cop a way out. Hey, you should go home to your family. At the top, he wants to do the right thing. He's like, hey, it's not every day a cop gets a chance to use silver. So it would have been nice to see a bit more banter between the two. I do like the idea they bring in the blood farm, which I know was supposed to be perhaps in the first Blade, because I remember on the DVD of the first Blade, I don't know if it was shot and deleted, but I remember sketches of the blood farm and that they had these people hunt up and they're alive, but they're drained of blood to have a consistent supply for the vampires to ship out and sip and have their merry way. So I do like that that's implemented into here. There are a few things I did not like though in episode 2. That's why I think episode 1 is better. Two things in particular, which I'll get to, spoilers. Number one, when Blade and this cop are ready to do battle with this bad guy who has this blood farm, and the missing women are there, and they're going to save them, the guy has a bunch of monster cats. I'm like, what is this? The movie Strays again? Is Timothy Busfield going to come in and try to save the day? Monster cats. I like cats. I have some cats. Monster cats just is ridiculous. I know we're talking about vampires and all that, but why could it just not be other vampires? It could be vampires that are more slow or more dull or more zombie-like, but they're vampires, so they're more easy to control. Or just regular vampires. Or just humans that you do this or I'm going to kill you. But hey, you want to be a vampire? You want to be part of this group? Go kill Blade, go kill this cop. And then they have to mess with these people. Or again, just be vampires. Or any number of other stuff. Why does it have to be cats? Monster cats. So that's one more. I'm like, come on, what the fuck? That's stupid. What's next? Vampire parakeets? And then the second thing was Blade fights this vampire who turns to a water tiger. It looks like a anthropomorphic tiger that could go in the water. And I'm like, when the hell did vampires get to turn to that type of thing? Did I miss something in the plot that they could turn to water tigers? I know in the first episode it was a werewolf. Now they can turn to a tiger? What's next? A panther? Are they the Thundercats? But, okay. But then Blade kills him with the same technique as in the first episode. The same sword, doing this thing, makes a double of him, This is an illusion. So the bad guy thinks he killed Blade, but then Blade comes in and does the same maneuver that he did in the first episode. It goes the same way. The blade comes down. It seems like the guy's been cut in two, and there's even text in a Asian format. They did that in the first episode as well, when Blade did the same thing to the werewolf and that one. And then Blade says, sword technique number 1. I'm like, you really had to use the same sword technique? If you know this is a limited amount of episodes, then establish in the first episode that there's 5 or 10 or 8. Like there's 10 techniques, and in one episode you show 2 of them. In another episode you show 1. Or if you show 0 and 1, you show 3 and another. Why does it have to be the exact same fucking technique, the exact same way of killing this bad guy that you killed the other bad guy before? You could cut his head off, or cut his head in 2, or cut his body in half, or just an impalement, and you see the sword go through the heart, or there's other stuff you could do. Why does it have to be the exact same technique? That just came off as lazy. Just came off as redundant. But anyway, he is able to kill him. They save the women. And there's spoilers. Super spoilers. And I do like the bit where the cop actually knocks his partner out, because he realizes his partner is part of the turncoat group, and he threatens, well, you didn't see any of this. It'd be a shame if your daughter, if this is her last birthday. And the cop, like, knocks him out because he's a badass, and he's like, I don't give a fuck what you think. You're not messing with me, you're not messing with my family. And he goes on to his daughter's birthday. So overall, despite some issues, I did like the episode. Although I think the episode 1 was a bit better. But it does, like you say, it's crazy that in 2 episodes, Blade kicked a lot more ass than Black Panther did in his show. The same with the movie. Blade kicks a lot more ass in his movie than Black Panther did in his piece of shit movie. And yes, I think Black Panther was a piece of shit film. I think Blade and Blade 2 were better films. They were more entertaining, they were more action-packed, and Blade did more. Black Panther felt like he was on the sidelines in his own movie, and felt like he did more in fucking Captain America's Civil War. But yeah, this, like I said, it would have been cool if there was some way, some form, in some fashion Wesley Snipes could have done the voice. I think that would have been the creme de la creme, as they say, the cherry on top. But overall, I think if you're a fan of Blade, it's worth at least a watch. The other episodes, I don't know. I'm not. He wanted the first 2 episodes. But yeah, this was decent. This was pretty decent. Although if Blade continues to do the same maneuver in each episode, then that's pretty lazy and redundant and lame. But yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.